Holly? Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Now we're good.
Okay.
And magically.
So, good evening to everybody. Good afternoon. I just want to kick off this panel. We are here in the Caracol showroom. We are very pleased, very happy to host this panel. Topic that I hope is of interest of many people, and we are very thankful of the people here, the panelists that have accepted our
The incredible
invitation.
caliber of the people here. Yes.
And on this note, I hand it over to Dennis.
No. Well, thank you so much for having us, and thank you all so much. Oh, that's nice. Yes, that's perfect. Great. Okay. So I'm Dennis Scully. I'm the business podcast. Home is a website and page of the home industry. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to quickly have each of you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Sure. Thanks, Dennis.
Yes, thank you.
Big fan of your voice.
Oh, you're so kind.
As we are.
You're very
So I'm Mark, and I work for my family business, which is Markor. I'm not named after the company. Well,
Are you sure?
well, I am named after the company.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And not the other way around.
Got it. Okay.
So my father started his journey as a designer, And from that, he started manufacturing, and we started retail stores and hotel brands. So our portfolio of brands in the U.S. are Caracal, AR3, Row, and Johnson Johnson. Honored to be here with all of you today on this panel.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm Alessandro Fabbrini. I'm Italian, as you can hear from the accent.
Yeah. Okay, now who figured that out on their own? Okay, okay.
And I'm the president of Caracol, and that's why I gave you the welcome. I'm relatively brand new of this industry. I mean, I joined the company a year and a half ago. My background is very much in the luxury fashion. So maybe you are going to hear some tweets of this industry.
Oh, yeah.
Now, eventually, this informs some of the things that we do here at Caracol.
I'm Kate O'Hara. I am the CEO of O'Hara Interiors. Like Mark, it's a family business. My mother founded the company about 35, 40 years ago. I've been working there for the past 17, 18, and took it over about 5 years ago. We have offices in the North and South, Minnesota and Texas. And our work is primarily full service residential, as well as some commercial on the hospitality side of things.
My name is Ryan Fabian. I'm an interior designer based in LA, but I work all over the US. And I also dabble in a little bit of product design.
Okay.
Is it me now?
I think so. I think you're.
I'm Vanessa Leone. I'm an interior designer, lifestyle expert, and product developer. I specialize in high-end residential, commercial, and hospitality interiors. I'm based out of New York City. And I am so thrilled to be here in this panel with a lot of people that I admire. And I can't wait to get started, Tim.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm excited to talk with you. I've already learned so much with Alessandro about so often our industry is given the guidance that we should look to the design and fashion industry and learn what they do when it comes to product positioning and branding and the partnerships that they form and how they create the messaging for what they're trying to do. And so I'm thrilled that you're here and that we can talk to you about your experience with this, because there's a very specific way that you think about branding and positioning that I wonder if you could share with us a little bit to get the conversation started.
Yeah. And I mean, when the two of us spoke, I think that as I said, I'm coming from a fashion luxury, and fashion luxury is a kind of a broader definition. There are several categories, not just ready to wear. It's accessories, it's jewelry. More recently, it's also furniture. So one of the things that I noticed is that I made a parallel with the jewelry industry. So I started in Bulgaria my career, and I noticed that industry, it's an industry that is not particularly branded. If you compare it with the watch industry, with the fragrance industry, if you compare it with the ready-to-wear industry, still most of the people rely on the jeweler. That is the person that you trust that gives you the nice piece of jewelry or the authentic stone. But that industry, I joined the company in 1995 at Bulgaria. Since then, it became significantly branded. So people rely significantly more on the Bulgari, on the Tiffany, and many other brands that are, how can I say, becoming relevant for the consumer. And my feeling is, when I joined this industry, it's more or less that we are at the stage where jewelry was at that time. So most of the people rely on the retailers. There is not such a big consciousness about the brand. And so I see that this can evolve in that direction. And I do see that it's a direction that is significantly more compelling. To answer properly to your question, what the fashion brands or the luxury brands are taking care of, they're taking care very much of their lifestyle. that it's pervasive, and that's what allowed them from the origin sometimes in accessories, sometimes in ready to wear, to enter into all the other categories, because what they were exporting, it's a lifestyle. A lifestyle that resonates with many people. And that makes the things relatively easy. It's not easy to be consistent. It's not easy to be loyal to who you are. It's not easy to compromise and try to catch many opportunities, which is something that I think in this industry people has to learn. When I visit sometimes the showroom of others' brand sneaking around because there is this, how can I say, silly, how can I say, behavior that if somebody goes to steal something, which I mean, we can do it online, we can do it anywhere else. So, but I do see that there is sometimes the will to please anybody. And if I learned something in my professional career is that you cannot please anybody. It's a recipe for failure. You choose who do you want to make happy, or who do you want to resonate. You need to be honest with yourself. So that's probably the thing that I would suggest. And many brands, don't misunderstand me, many brands are doing this, but not so many, not the majority. And I think that this is a gigantic opportunity for this industry to instead consider, because otherwise they're going to be conquered by others. Fashion is already moving a step to this. Fendi, we see Gabbana, we see many brands that are entering into this. And on the other side, we see that the big retailers are taking over. So I think that the brand has to react, and probably considering the golden rule of branding will help them, most of them, to, how can I say, regain the leadership that they deserve.
Okay. Vanessa, since some of your work is scrolling on the screen at the moment, does that make you uncomfortable when we're showing these giant images? Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
a little bit.
It's a little bit, right?
It's like I'm showing off.
Which is so not your way.
No,
I know.
it actually isn't.
But I wonder, Vanessa, I mean, I wonder how you think about, so one of the challenges I find for designers, and I talk to a lot of designers, is at the heart of what designers are trying to convey is that they're going to listen to their clients, they're going to get to know their clients, and then they're going to create something that hopefully feels very, very personalized to that particular client. But if all designers are saying that, how do you make yourself stand out with that being said? So talk to me about that.
Well, I think that my style resonates with clients that come to me, right? So there's something about the way that I design, or the way that I may post things, or the stuff that I'm building as far as products concerned. The client is already attracted to that. So it's an easy sale, right? They're coming to me because they like a style. So I ultimately have to hear what they like. Maybe they don't like black and I love black, or maybe they like, lighter colors and I tend to go a little bit more darker and moodier. But ultimately they may like the way that I present a space. So to me, it's an easy sale because they're coming to me. I'm not going out there looking for the business. I'm at a point in my career, 25 years in, that they're coming to me because they like what I produce. So that's how I see it. There are going to be, in the interview phase, the intake meeting, what inspires you? What do you love? How do you live? How many animals do you have? How many, little humans do you have? Obviously, you need to know those things to make sure you design the home for their needs. But it's an easy sale because they ultimately like my style.
Right. And as Alessandro was just saying earlier, figuring out who you are, right, and what your voice is something that you were able to do. Mm-hmm. And so now you've put what you feel is your true self out there, and people are coming to you because hopefully they like that.
And I think that goes down to branding, right? Throughout my career, I've tried to create a brand that's very much who I am, whether it's in the luxury space, if it's in the product space. if you see all of the products and the interiors, commercial hospitality, you see something that there's a common thread throughout. And I think that's how you create the brand, not going away from that. And I have a lot of, I do a lot of influential things like collaborations with Instagram and whatnot. And so many brands come to me with wanting to do collabs or partnerships, but a lot of them don't resonate with who I am and what the brand is. So obviously for me, it's not a good fit. And I wouldn't be authentic to myself if I were to, go out and, moonlight with other brands that don't necessarily represent who I am.
Right. So not trying to be all things to all people, which is what you were saying.
Right.
Yeah, no, I want to reinforce what she's saying. And again, so one of the elements that makes a brand significantly more visible and I say strong in terms of penetration with the people is the consistency.
Right.
So you need to be true to yourself and you need to be consistent. You stop being consistent when you're trying to catch a lot of opportunity. So then you become a vegetable soup, something like that. But and one of the recipe of the the fashion house is the sort of a dictatorship of the creative director. They are the filter of almost all the touch points of the company. And unless they are schizophrenic, they tend to be coherent.
Well, I am a Gemini, so I have both.
I sense there's a lot of schizophrenia on the panel, so a little bit of a hot issue, but
you are a schizophrenic.
100%. And it's really good to be a little bit.
I get
here
that.
comes the argument for schizophrenia. Okay. No, go ahead, Ryan.
In design.
When you're creative, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
But to pick up on where you left off, I always say, when you look at an artist's artwork and each painting is different, but the brush stroke is the same and you can tell it was that artist. That's what I feel like, and that's how I describe my work. People are like, what's your style? And I say, I don't want to give you a effing style. Like, I don't have a style.
Is that what you say to them? I don't want to give you an effing style?
No, I say I don't have a effing style. Like,
Okay.
You follow me and you have my book and you've seen my work.
Right.
And you're drawn to this, what I call formula or recipe.
Right.
Okay.
It's very bold. I have a lot of high contrast. You could tell I love crazy art. You can tell Ryan did it, but no room looks the same. I've worked on a home for like a wasp with plaid on the East Coast. And I've worked on a home for like the gaudiest person on the West Coast. But it doesn't look gaudy and it doesn't look too waspy. It has my recipe or formula, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
I think my microphone's broken.
And so, no, I don't think so. We're hearing you loud and clear. So, Kate, you were saying earlier, and I'm curious about stepping into your mother founded the yes. Let's make room here for Kate. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Come on, guys. So what?
Yeah, Ryan asked if I liked my mother's taste.
That's actually a really good
This is
question.
on camera.
Difficult
Key
question.
element right there. That's just where I was going to go. What do you do if you take over mom's firm and you're kind of like, Mom, I'm not.
Well, I think that there is a choice in stepping into the role. And so it has to be a company and a brand that you believe in or that you feel like has a future you can craft and evolve. And I think that because I'm stepping in a second generation role, I'm thinking a little bit less about what I am creating from scratch. And I'm thinking a little bit more, you asked earlier, Dennis, about how you can brand yourself for the client. How do you create the brand? And I think the beginning is the client. The client actually has to be defined in that question in order for you to develop a brand. And it's something that a lot of designers struggle with because we are creative and we want to be able to serve anyone who comes to us, but not everyone who comes to us will be appropriate. And I actually don't want to attract every person in the world to my firm.
Right.
Not every person is right for our firm. So who is? And I think every firm needs to ask that. And the more specific and particular, and I think this goes to your point, Alessandro, the more specific you can be in defining your client, the more clarity you'll have about your brand and the more consistent you can then be moving forward, regardless of where your brand moves, whether it stays firmly within interior design or moves into product and other types of lines. And I think that that's something that may come a little bit from having more of a 15,000, that 5,000 foot view
Sure.
from being a second generation and seeing things from a distance and then stepping in and seeing them more closely.
Oh my God, that dog room is insane.
Oh, thank you.
So your own filtering or your own editing process with the clients you choose to work with helps in defining the level of work that you do, it sounds like.
I think so. And it doesn't mean, to Ryan's point, that we're not designing in a wide range of styles that might surprise one client that we did another project. That happens frequently, right? I can't believe you did that too. And yet it might be a project well outside of someone's aesthetic direction that attracts them because of the brushstrokes, because of the methodology. The point though is, I think every time, for instance, we choose to do a photo shoot of our work, because we're not photographing everything, we're choosing the work that best represents our ideal client. And we know who that is. We know who that is, and we're trying to attract them over and over again. And we might surprise ourselves and wind up attracting some new people, and we pay attention. We evolve. We're not trying to stay in one mode or way of thinking, but we are really trying to be mindful of who our client is, because then we can make very consistent choices. We say to our clients all the time, what's your inspiration image or your North Star image? What is going to guide this project? Well, a brand is just the same. And I think that the North Star is the client.
Does that make sense for you, Ryan?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a bad client.
No, seriously, right? There is
Freaking
nothing worse than
And
bad.
for me, it's never the bad client's never the one where our tastes don't match, because I don't even think they would have walked into the door if the aesthetic wasn't aligned. It's when you can never satisfy them, and when I think anyone here knows that they could suck the life out. I wanted to die.
Like a vampire.
Literally like a vampire.
Yeah.
And that sucks the creative energy out of you. And when your creative wings are no longer open and expansive, and you're no longer flourishing and thriving to give them what they want, that's when you say, I have to walk away. This isn't working. And I hate doing that because I love money, but I sometimes have to do it.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Following up on something that Kate was saying about attracting the clients that you want. So part of what I want to understand better is how you position yourself for those clients that you want, and how you find them. Where are they, and how do you reach them?
Start on that.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So, no offense to anyone in this industry. I've been in it for 15 years, and I
brace yourself,
love it.
people. Brace yourself.
I love this industry.
Hold on to your chair.
It's my passion. It's my I've been doing this since I was in high school. I don't want to do anything else.
Okay.
But it's not like fashion in the sense that in fashion, they love the next best thing. They love the young, up and coming designers. They take them under their wing. And there's magazines like Teen Vogue. In interior design, it's very backwards. It's very slow. Everyone is much older.
Yeah.
It is understandably more of an investment. We're not buying an $80 t-shirt. We're buying expensive things. So for me, it's always been the best clients have been word of mouth. The best way to get a few that will then get you more is, I think today it's so easy to brand yourself, kind of fake it till you make it. I did a lot for many years. And with social media, you could do that. I'm not saying.
And what does that mean? So
fraud.
fake it to make it, like, what does that look like in terms of how you presented yourself?
It could be anything from, let's say you're doing a room and the only thing you've completed is a vignette. Like that's all you did. You can milk that photo so much, and that's faking it till you make it. If you got a feature on AD.com, but not in print,
right?
Who freaking knows? Put it and say you were an AD.
There you go.
You know, that's another fake it, but you're not really faking it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Giving the illusion that you're bigger than you are, because everyone does it. I know everyone does it,
Also in
And
the fashion industry.
also, and you kind of have to, or else you're gonna fall behind. And for me, it's also really been my authenticity. I don't think it was really on purpose. I think because I started so young, I remember when Instagram came out, I was in college and I was posting all of my school reports and people were loving it. They thought it was so cool that I'm drafting and that I'm like shopping for fabrics and like the resource library. It wasn't my college library. People thought I had a firm. I didn't have a firm. But it worked. And
you're
at
like,
the
"Look at the
same
size
time,
of
I
this
was
place."
studying and I was learning my craft. And look where I am now. But I'm very open about the fact that I was very, very good at giving that illusion until it really happened. And yeah, I don't want to talk anymore. Next one.
So I gotta say, he's
Vanessa,
one
go
of
ahead.
my favorite designers.
Really?
Actually, he's probably top 7. So I'm.
That's-
Top 7.
But out of thousands of
Meaning you are the
designers,
seventh?
Why are you laughing?
Yeah.
That's so good.
yeah, that's so good.
I'm so
And he's
sorry the
number
other
one.
6 couldn't be here.
And he's number 1 in LA.
Okay, number 1 in LA. Okay, so LA based is number 1. All right.
So I gotta say, I've been following him for years. I'm
Okay.
a big fan of his work, and
All right.
the one thing that I won't agree with him is fake it till you make it. I'll tell you why.
Why?
Oh,
Because that expression, yeah,
controversy on stage
Yes,
already. I love it.
because that expression is overused so much because a lot of people in this world have faked it until they made it.
Sure.
But I think today's society and today's world, especially that we're so tapped into social channels and networks, people can see through the nonsense.
I know what you're talking about.
So-
You're talking about
Wow,
something else.
So
okay.
there is some authenticity about being, why can't you be a student in college trying to make it? I bet you'll have more clients that are willing and able to invest in you and invest in what you have to offer, being authentic to yourself and the brand. And that's going back to the brand and building a brand and being the boss of your brand is authenticity. And I feel people look through the fat and look through the crap. So we're so in tune these days, especially with social and everything at our fingertips, that people can read through all that.
Yeah, you're saying something a little bit differently, and I agree with you. I agree with her on the fact that every single housewife is a designer now.
Yeah, this is true.
Every single blogger
Yeah.
posts my work and other people's work,
Yes,
and they're very vague about who it's by.
right,
Mm.
right.
And so many people have said, "Did you see this designer?" And I'm looking at it, I'm like, "That's not her
And she's not even a
project.
designer.
That's not what
He's
she
not a
did.
designer, yeah.
Like, she's a housewife.
Yeah.
That's not what she does." But they look, again, that's a different fake it. They're actually faking it.
Yeah,
I gave the illusion that I'm already established, okay?
Right.
I'm
You're
not-
talking more about the hustle. You're like
hustle.
hustling and
He's-
yeah. No, I
there's
understand.
like
I appreciate
a
that.
lot of like with a
Yeah.
million followers who are posting other people's work and then they're getting jobs and you should see their work. It's so ugly. It's like such a stark difference.
Yeah.
But people fall for it because like, I'm sorry, a lot of people are stupid.
yeah.
It is the difference
Again, a lot of
between-
broad statements coming out of Brian. Management does not stand behind any of Brian's comments. We just want to make that clear. But yeah,
What
No.
It is
Kate,
the-
jump in here.
It's true,
Sure.
it's true.
Well, I think it's the difference, perhaps, when we're talking about these two ideas. It's the difference between saying, I design in fill in the blank city because you have a business established and you have the intention to design in that city. And so you say, I design in that city, versus actually taking someone else's work and claiming it or implying that it is your own. There are differences there. But I think that if you can begin with the idea of a story and what your story is for this year or this season, because your story will change. Who is your client? What is your story? The brand does start to come together. I think the challenge a lot of designers run into, that Ryan was certainly getting at, is having the marketing collateral, the assets, the photography. That's what we're talking about here. Having the photography is tricky, but if you can figure out who your client is, figure out what your story is, establish your brand in a more holistic way, in a very intentional way, there are ways for you to create and render quite a bit without claiming more than you've done necessarily, but certainly showing what you can do. And that is, I think, a fair thing to do. It's also important to think through operationally how a project will work, because once you get one, there's a lot that's going to come from there and there's a lot to figure out. So giving some forethought to that is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think if you're a newbie designer, there's so much with AI that you can do, and you can show your stuff or your stuff or your style through AI and through digital renderings, putting mood boards. Putting mood boards together.
You're addicted to AI?
Oh, it's the best.
And
Yeah,
you're using
so
a
I've
lot
been
too?
doing a lot with AI too. I've been actually doing some art.
Oh,
with
Mark,
AI.
you're getting all excited now, aren't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm even like dabbling in with product side to AI and
Me
doing
too.
a book and stuff. So, we're, as much as we hate the word AI and what's going to happen to us as humans, AI, as sophisticated as it is, interior designers still are individual humans that interact with the client, and there's no
Right.
AI exchange for that.
Yeah, no, don't worry, it won't take over. I've tested it. It does not design a room nicely unless you know
You have to
exactly
input a lot. Yeah.
what we're
Right.
talking about, and
Okay.
you know exactly what to tell it.
Okay. Any second, Mark's going to have to do a plug for the AI. So, I mean,
Well, so it's
60 seconds, go.
it's not really a plug, but my view on it is that we're all faking it until we make the furniture,
Yeah.
until we make the room, because
But it's our design.
right.
Right?
So and the view from I guess the history of the family is, my father, as he's coming up as a designer back then in the early 80s in China, he had nothing, right? And even till now, what is this value that he's adding? If you think back, as a company, we say we're a company that create brands, and what does that mean? So for us, it's always been about curation. At the end of the day, like AI would never be able to do that, right? It's kind of like,
Well, you would have to literally input everything.
right, you're an artist, and all of a sudden now a photographer, and I mean the camera was invented, right? So what did the artist do? Well, the artist used the camera to curate their art still, right? So and for us, the brand is about kind of all the different touch points, and it's not even about what we think the brand is. The brand is what lives inside the mind of the customer. It's kind of how other people see you. That's where the brand truly lives.
Yeah.
So as the company was starting out, the thing that made us famous in China, we're kind of a household name and brand in China, is
Huge in China. Mention them in China next time you go. Yeah.
not our design, not our stores, although they were beautiful. But the fact that our delivery was impeccable. We rolled out red carpets, and these housewives, they called us, don't deliver too soon. Make sure you deliver at the same time that all my neighbors are home, so they can see your red carpets. Right? So that was a thing that made us a household name. So, but I guess the plug is we are building an AI tool. So we're introducing Kara this market, Kara Cole for Caracol, but the product is not to replace the designer. The product is to be your co-pilot, right? So when we had this AI technology, we shipped it in China to all of our stores. And what it does was you take a photo of your room, and the furniture that you're trying to sell would appear in those rooms. It would be rendered in 10 seconds. The alternative is that you have to work with a 3D renderer, pay somebody in Romania $5,000, wait for 2 weeks, right? And each time you get feedback, you have to wait for another week. Now it's in real time. It's not 100% accurate, it's 90% there, but it's good enough so that our interior designers are going to those houses and making decisions with clients in real time.
Right.
It's like, it's so frustrating sometimes, and I make the analogy of an orchestra, right? Like when you're trying to curate a brand, you get these moving pieces, your different people, your different talents, and they may be a great saxophone player with a great riff, but if you don't dictate what music you're playing, it's going to be all over the place. And working with the clients, kind of like working with another artist. You're partnering up with that artist, you're making a remix, and if they suck, the whole thing is going to suck.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a good analogy.
So having a tool that makes this easier is what we're trying to build. And hopefully that was under 60 seconds.
No, well, was it a second over? That concludes the AI portion of our. So thank you for tuning into that. But I want to come back, Vanessa, to what you were saying, because this is actually, and I want to hear from all three of you about this, because you spoke to something that I think a lot of people are struggling with today. A lot of designers are struggling with what seems to be a demand or an expectation from social media that they have to somehow show more behind the scenes of their real life and who they are, and oh, we want to see more at home, and you in the kitchen, or you with the children, or you to get more of a sense of who they genuinely are, and that somehow this is an important component of how they need to brand themselves in today's world. How do you think about that? How do you navigate that? And I want to hear from all three of you, because Ryan's making a face like,
I'm not.
no, but I mean, it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's an issue, and a lot of people bring it up, and not everyone is comfortable with revealing themselves in that way.
I'll be happy to answer it, but I think you wanted to step in before.
Oh, I was just going to mention that we've actually been using AI as a tool specifically for branding.
Oh, now
And as a
look at the gift she's giving you right there. Go ahead.
But we don't have to linger too much on AI, but I do think that it's worth noting you can create a really strong, consistent brand message. You don't need to rely on AI to write everything for you or do everything for you. But if you know who your ideal client is, you can find out very quickly what are their hobbies, what are they reading, what magazines are they in. Okay, they're in these 3 magazines. What are the common features in photo styling for these types of magazines, and on and on and on and on and on. It just goes and goes and goes. You can drill down with such specificity that, again, it's a tool. These tools are always scary when they're new, and there will always be a new one. So you might as well use it because someone else will.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to take away the creativity. It can simply make you sharper. That was all I wanted to say.
And I'm so glad you said that. And obviously, I'm joking about AI. My message to everyone is absolutely use AI. Learn to use it. It is a powerful tool, and it is here, and it is not going away. So I'm only making jokes, but the reality is, of course, it's an important part of where this whole industry is going. So absolutely learn prompts, learn to use it as a tool. Hopefully it's not coming to destroy us all, and that we can harness the power of it for the betterment of the world. Back to you, Vanessa.
Embrace it. So I am very much about open book. I've always been, and I think that's what people love about me. There's a part of the business that, yes, the pictures are the sale, but then there's the other part is that you're going to be married to these clients for a couple of years. If you're building a house, 2 to 3 years. If you're just doing a reno, a year. So you're going to be really in bed, so to speak. No pun intended. There's a bed there. Maybe say that. I don't know. Sorry.
What'd you say?
You're going to be in bed with them, and then there was a bed on the screen. It was your bed. So
I was in bed with my client in that moment.
So I would say you are going to be married to them, right? So the fact
Worse than a marriage.
yes, and you also want them to know.
Again.
You also want them to know who you are personality-wise. So I always like to show the behind the scenes because there is a human component to that you connect with the client, and the fact that, I have a son and I love cooking and I love products and sort of, what I do with my, doing this. Like if you go to my social right now, I talked about this, and there's an authenticity about just being in front of the camera, and this is me, and whether I have makeup on or not, and I kind of make fun of that. There is something nice about that there's a human connection there that people love, and it makes you more relatable. And that's how I treat my reels or my stories on Insta or social, because I want people to know that I came from a trailer and here I am today. So the fact that I tell that story and people feel like connected with all different types of designers, whether it's high or low, the fact that I touch someone in that respect, it's through that. It's not through pictures that I just post. So
yeah, no, and I appreciate
jump
that.
a little bit in,
Yeah,
because
please.
I found what you are describing very consistent with what is happening for the brand that sell product. So you are the product at the end of the game. What they're buying is you.
Yeah.
It's not what you publish, they buy you. So for the brand, of course, it's more indirect because at the end of the game, there is an organization that doesn't interact at personal level. We interact through several touch points, but mostly through our product.
Right.
And also there, they love to see how the product is created, what is happening eventually in the distribution center.
Because there's a romance there.
Because it's a romance, because at the end of the game, and that's the value of the brand, because what people buy, it's not just a product.
Right.
They buy a set of value, they buy an emotion.
The experience, you buy the experience.
So till the point, you have the ability to be authentic. So what we did, for example, recently, and Mark mentioned. So you interrogate Caracol. So we create a character that is Mrs. Caracol. So Mrs. Cole. Because what we discovered, aside of the very, I cannot say, clever schizophrenia that you were referring to, if you think about a brand as a human being, if you think about, you find that, do I have to decide, I don't know, if I do an event in this way or not? What Mrs. Cara would have done in this situation? And if you have a very clear understanding of who this person is, and you have it because it's you, then you are going to do something that is meaningful, something that is coherent. So you have the luxury to interrogate yourself and decide what is right and what is wrong. We don't have this luxury. And as a matter of fact, we created some, artificial personality on which we clearly define who they are, what they do, what is their personality, because this will inform our way of taking pictures, our way of doing the event, our way of, making a catalog. There has to be this element of consistency. There has to be this personality that get communicated to the people that they receive this product.
Well,
because if they like
Cole
it,
has
they
a
will
lot of
stay.
different personalities.
Huh?
Sorry to interrupt you, but Miss Cole has a lot of different personalities.
Yeah,
So she
she's
may be
schizo too.
schizophrenic because there's so many different types of vignettes that can resonate in
It
many
is
different
very
genres.
true, but
Right?
this is this is
Which is good.
In part, no, then yes and
Those are
has
different
her
moods.
high heels days.
Right, and then she's like sneaker day, yeah.
exactly.
She wants to
That's
be in
the kind that you
flip-flop.
want to go to the to the gala, and then you want to be in a super comfortable way.
Yeah,
But
she wants to have her wedges when she does the resort upstairs,
Exactly.
right?
But
So
there
I
has
see
to
it.
be this fil rouge, the way of you describe
stroke,
it,
yeah.
that link all the elements.
Right.
If there isn't, you are fake.
Right, great point.
Yeah.
Okay, so I forgot to mention earlier, because I was just having such a good time up here with everyone, that I do want to open it up for questions if people have questions. So we have someone with a microphone. Oh my gosh. And immediately a hand went up, multiple hands went up. So yes, let's just jump into some questions, and I want to jump back to a question. So go ahead.
Choose which furniture vendor you work with.
You don't work with just one.
What's your favorite? What do you look for in a
Caracol?
furniture vendor?
Gold star.
I
Shameless
think
plug.
if you want interesting work, you should be all over the place.
Yeah.
And you should be
Yeah.
sourcing from everywhere. I do a lot of custom. I don't like doing it that much because I swear things always go wrong. But Caracol's one of my favorites. Eichholt's one of my top.
Michael.
Forehands is killing it. You
Killing
should
it.
stop by. They're killing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you have to be a little bit all over the place. Our clients don't hire us to have interiors that look like they're out of a catalog. If they wanted that, they'd just buy what was in a catalog. They want something that's curated, pulled together thoughtfully, layered in ways that they can't do for themselves. And there's no single line, no matter how gorgeous, that can do that and stay true to its own brand, right? Because your client might not be Mrs. Caracol, but they might love her style. And so they want a lot of her pieces in their wardrobe and their homes. And so that she's going to be featured very heavily in the same home, but so will other things to create her home, because her home is her brand.
Where do you live?
It's a great point.
Minnesota.
Oh,
Okay.
So,
Okay. In the back there was a hand. Okay, yeah. Yes, this gentleman with the.
Hello. Hi. I would love to ask a question about transformation and change.
Ooh. Okay.
I've noticed a big change in Caracol in the last 3 to 5 years.
Ooh.
Probably one of the only brands that's been led by someone from the fashion industry. And I feel like it's one of the most interesting brands at High Point at the moment. And I was wondering, how do you get that message out to the industry? Because I feel like it's like the best kept secret here at the moment.
Wow. Okay.
That's
Is he a plant? Would you? Okay. No, that's fine. Sure.
So it's
You know,
a very
a heads up might have been helpful, but whatever. Go ahead.
So it is a very difficult answer to give you in the sense that the way we operated to transform this brand was very deliberate since the beginning to bring everyone on board. So it was a lot of, I can say, chat, a lot of storytelling, a lot of investigation, because the more you are real, concrete, so you give a very tangible evidence. So we started by looking around us in a very humble way, what the competition does, so what the market is doing, what is the trend, and things like that, and then choosing altogether. But I mean, your question is very much, how do you go out there? So far, I have to say we haven't strategized properly how to go out there. The most, I would say, since it's a work in progress, the majority of the concern was to be prepared to go out there, to get this absolute alignment with the people and consistency in the touch point. I genuinely have to say that we don't have yet a strategy in place to go out in a big way.
I think it's doing things like this.
No, this isn't going to help. It's only
No,
it's not.
Can't rely on this, right, Ryan? I mean, we can't do
What,
it
this is
all.
going to get it out there?
Well, business
I mean-
is
This doesn't
all
get it
like
out there.
this.
You're a
Yeah.
help, but also something
No,
they
sure,
need to do,
sure.
and a lot of
Goes without saying.
a lot of furniture brands need to do, which I understand it's harder to do, and that's what I meant by we're much slower. For some reason, the entire world listens to young, silly models on Instagram who have so many followers. Like fashion, they'll choose somebody like Gigi Hadid over a veteran supermodel, because in addition to her being beautiful,
Oh, is that
she
Gigi
also
right now?
has-
Getting-
Yeah. She's popping
All
bottles
right.
in the back.
She also has like 80 million followers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not on the business side. I don't know if you could afford it or if everyone could afford it.
Send
but
her a
being
vanity,
able
send
to
her a
send
vanity.
people like that, or partner with people like that, or give people like that a special discount so that they could have the product in their home and post it. Every girl buys shoes that another supermodel wears. And everybody will be more drawn to these things and see more of these things if you have influencers like that posting
Or like
it and
us.
promoting it.
Or like
Of course,
us.
of course, one of the
Wow.
business challenges there is this is not retail. It's more like ask your doctor about this prescription
Right,
drug.
right, right.
So now ask your designer about this brand, because they,
No, these are people who don't have designers.
well, that's what I'm saying is because we're talking about to the trade lines that can only be
Oh, got
accessed
it,
from
got it.
designers.
I'm going to the retail side.
Yeah, you're going to the retail side. So I'm just saying there's
Find
a
famous
challenge there.
interior designers, like partnering with people like
Mhm.
Like us.
us.
I mean, again, yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I mean,
But you get what I'm trying to get at,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that wasn't a diss to anybody here. Like, you're all going to talk about it, but you really want to spread all of this amazing new collection, which I did notice your creative director is killing it.
Yeah.
Like, so nice.
No, clearly. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Ryan.
Oh.
Oh my God, you're backlit. What's that?
So I've known Ryan for a long time.
A
This
long
kid
time.
has hustled. I lived in LA and seen, him progress and everything. But based on what you were just saying, I used to have a branding and licensing company. To me, it's always about the authentic designers, right? So when you see the influencers, I think it takes away the authenticity of everything you guys have done as your
Touche.
brand.
Yep.
So it kind of like, when you see Kardashian on the cover of, AD, which I know you play in that world, to me, it kind of negates everything everybody here has done in their brand from that perspective. So
Wow.
it's kind of,
okay.
look at it from that direction, because I've always been
I
a proponent
agree.
of authentic designers. I don't want to see Cindy Crawford on the cover of something. She's not relevant as in the design world. So but you're also younger. So there's that perception, right? So it's kind of a little play. We live in a different world.
Very. So then to play off of what you said, then wouldn't you say that we need to get more like that? I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. Forget what I said.
So if I could respond to that.
It can't be AI related, though.
No, it's
Okay.
not going to be AI.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was this Scott Galloway kind of soundbite that was pretty controversial. That said, the death of the brand. The future is going to be the death of the brand, and it's because the consumers are getting so much smarter, and because information asymmetry is quickly disappearing, especially in fragmented industry where supply chain is transparent now. So there is what you can't just create a cool wrapper dropship DTC brand and imagine all of a sudden you're going to have a following. I don't know if we completely agree with that, but there's truth, right? There's the consumer has changed, especially in a fragmented industry like ours. A lot of people that I know who are wealthy, they take pride in going on Alibaba directly to furniture factories.
Oh gosh, yes.
The richest
These
ones
furniture-
do.
Right. So like what value do we have, right? But to be kind of back to Alessandro's point, back to your question about Caracal's future as well, what value do we add? So that's kind of a fundamental question that's centered to our core that we ask ourselves every day. Unless through the brand and through all the touch point and the experience of the brand, we communicate emotion, soul, and this value to the customers, and we shouldn't exist. So I do agree with the point on authenticity is more important than ever.
And there is
Brand integrity too, and the components you guys build. I mean, we had a little bit of this conversation on the phone with Alessandra the other day when I asked how you were going to bring in, your vision from the fashion side into this. So I think a lot of people probably are wondering the same thing and how you're mirroring that, because it is part of it, right?
Yeah, there is kind of a notion that the fashion it's lousy, noisy, and things like that. But I think that there is also a very financial-driven way to measure the power of the brand, which is through the stocks exchange, for example. So if you think about, how can I say, kind of a quiet people or brand like Hermes. Hermes, in terms of market capitalization, it's $250 billion in order to buy that company. I mean, which is 17 times the turnover that they generate. There are brands like Loro Piana that is having right now a very good momentum. They are not necessarily supported by rapper that makes a lot of noise on the Instagram or on the social media. So there are different ways.
Have you seen the head of their PR, Michael Kostis?
So they're actually becoming a little bit more forward
too much
with New
now.
Balance. They're partnering with New Balance and trying to make.
And this is good according also to, I mean, these brands often they take think about Balenciaga, they take a direction that, I mean, because the speed sometimes is an advantage, sometimes is a disadvantage, because with that speed you can easily damage the things.
I think there's always yin and yang, right? You need to do enough things to do cool things. Hire Pharrell to be your creative director to make noise. but then also having the chops to back it up.
Right.
I think the reason why we brought in Alessandro, we're lucky to have him. This is not the first time we brought somebody in from fashion to take the helm of Caracal. The previous president also came from fashion, but it didn't work out.
What happened with him?
Right. So what about? Well,
Maybe it's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
So now it's working out because of a simple concept.
No pressure.
It's we've always been a very design-focused company from day one because my father has been an interior designer, a product designer, a set designer as he was growing up. So the company was driven by this design mission. If you look at this building, if you look at our chase after the Pinnacle Awards, it hasn't been a merchandising-driven company. So as an effect, we ended up with a lot of very beautiful products that didn't turn fast enough, that didn't have scale. I hate to quote Gary, but
Are you going to quote Gary Friedman? Me, of all people? Okay, go ahead.
To
Go ahead.
make taste scale, right? I think that's what
Right.
the fashion industry does well, is that they do merchandising so that their things are innovative, on trend, but also has the branded DNA that they're able to turn.
Okay.
Right? So
So I'm glad that you said that, because I mean, all joking aside, whether you love it, you hate it, however you feel. So RH, for example, has done an incredible job of positioning itself in a way, and this is honestly the High Point furniture industry's biggest lament, is here all of these companies have been around for decades, and they might have thought to themselves that they were a well-known brand, your Bakers, your Maguires, whoever you want to name, and RH just came along and ate everybody's lunch, right? And they're doing 800 million a quarter, and the thing that irks some people, maybe me, the most, is that well-to-do Americans have believed that this is the pinnacle, that RH is this luxury and the most that you can attain, and again, hats off to them that they have brilliantly somehow hypnotized this many people all at once.
They just printed
But
a lot of books.
What have they done?
They did.
What have they done, and what
They printed a lot
can
of
we all learn? Everyone
did.
who's trying to think about how to brand their stores, how to position themselves as designers, what can we learn from what they have done?
Well, I think that that's exactly right, because their brand is so consistent, and it's based in a clear story, and it's quite experiential now too, and only growing more so. But I think that a lot of our clients want the reassuringly expensive. Our clients don't look for the very best deal. They all at some point discover what their budget is if we push far enough. But there is a sense of the reassuringly expensive, not expense for expense sake, but because we're working with a professional, there are a series of potential motivators that our clients might have. And what a retailer like RH has done is stepped in and said, we are that, so loudly that it's easy to miss that there are designers out there. And so the trick for designers is to remain, and I think designers are doing it well, remain very relevant to clients and to the homeowners, to the, even the commercial projects that require, the type of design that a lot of full service residential firms do. And then the challenge for storefronts and furniture lines is a little bit different, because of course these are lines that frequently aren't positioning themselves, or historically haven't positioned themselves to the final buyer. They're positioning themselves to designers. So here we are positioning ourselves as reassuringly expensive, so among other things, I hope. But now we have these furniture lines who have to position themselves to us. Some need to be reassuringly budget friendly, because not every room is an investment space in a client's home. Not every client is investing heavily in that space. Others need to be heavily customizable, regardless of price. Others need to speak to a specific style. And so there's I think just a little bit of a conflated conversation happening sometimes when we talk about furniture brands that are to the trade versus designers who are not, and how we need to consider and position ourselves. Oftentimes it's quite similar, but we need to remember who our clients are. It always comes back to who is that client. And then there is also, deeper considerations when a designer is trying to create a lifestyle brand. Are they positioning themselves to magazines and to furniture lines and to potentially retailers? And similarly, do to the trade furniture lines need to be thinking more broadly about marketing themselves to that final consumer, that homeowner, like Ryan was suggesting?
You guys can't compare RH. It's like, I hear it all the time. I don't know. It's so clear to me why they're so successful.
Tell me.
They're like Nordstrom used to be in the 90s. You could return anything. You could literally return. I've returned things a year later. Their restaurants look like the Ritz. It's fabulous. It's gorgeous. And again, people are stupid, and they fake it.
Did you get that? Did you all? Okay.
And like even I sometimes walk in the Melrose Gallery, and I'm like, holy shit, this is so nice.
Yeah.
They do a really good job.
I hear you.
I do believe,
and they're not to the trade. You could get a membership and have the same discount I have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I do believe it's that they literally printed so many catalogs that everyone in the entire world got one, because that's it. I feel like that's what it is. And when someone gives me the inspiration picture, there's a picture of Restoration Hardware in the G Drive. And then I send back the video from friends when Phoebe wanted her house to be curated, and they found the piece at a regular box store, and there was a whole thing with her and Rachel, and I send that little,
that was Pottery.
It was
I remember
Pottery.
that episode.
So I send that video, and I'm like, we're not doing this episode. So that's like always like a little funny.
That's how you shut down that conversation?
That's how I shut down the conversation,
Love that.
and they completely get it.
Okay.
I worked on Alexander von Furstenberg's house. He's Diane's son, and you would think because he's Diane's son, he would care a lot about an eclectic, high-quality mix of stuff. Swear to God, it was all RH. And he said, done is better than perfect. And that stuck to me. A lot of people really think like that. And I kind of get it. I'm a generation, what am I? I'm not Gen Z.
You're Gen.
I'm a millennial.
No.
We were the ones that were instant gratification. Now the other one is insane. It's like now.
Yeah.
So it is a lot about that ready. It's a next day delivery.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon's gonna shit up.
I think though that's part of our job though, and I think we do get to handle that part of the process because our clients' perceptions, they are the reality we have to live with, but we're at the beginning of the conversation that they have with us. We're there in that conversation too. So that expectation setting that we can do, hopefully from our branding before we even have the conversation, is helping along than the conversation that we have when we're sitting across the table. I would hope that anyone who calls me to hire our team knows immediately that they're not getting something tomorrow. And it is very, very rare that I have a conversation where someone expects that. And if they do, within the first 30 minutes of us talking, they have clear expectations and get to decide if they feel like it's a good fit.
Whether they want to hear it or not, right? Because I have the ball players that
they won't wait.
They're not waiting because they're in
the
season.
ball players. Those are the worst clients.
No, they're not the worst clients.
Well, they're
they want everything.
So much money, but they want it
yesterday.
They want it yesterday.
Yeah,
Because they may have to move any minute.
correct.
Yeah.
And they want it to look fabulous.
They might
to
get
post.
traded.
They might get traded, and that's always
Sure.
what they're feeling. But they want a beautiful
relatable.
space. So so related.
Yeah.
To go back to Dennis' question,
Yes.
I think that I do.
When do you feel I lost control? Looking back through the conversation, when do you think it really kind of went? AI?
It started at AI. And that was
That's
like
my
5
as
minutes in. It was like 5 minutes in.
But I mean, we've covered so much more than you probably thought you were going to get out of this conversation, right? I do admit, we've packed a lot into this conversation, right? Yeah. Go ahead, Alessandro.
No.
Bring us home.
I want to answer. I want to come back to you. So, I mean, I do see honestly with envy what RH did, and they clearly portrayed a lifestyle through the restaurants, through the things, And this, I mean, I think it's important for many people. Many people are not so confident or not so tasteful to choose how to dress their house. So, I mean, having RH, they buy into the lifestyle that they see most likely in the restaurants or in the bar. So that is good enough. I think that you are probably the exact opposite. So for a more sophisticated clientele that at least has the consciousness that are not able to do their house by themselves, and they want to be more kind of sophisticated or elevated, they come to professionals. And so they buy, again, into your persona to get the things done. Others, they go to something that it's definitely more immediate. And that's why I envy them, because what you can get from RH is very clear, either because of the catalog or because of the restaurant.
Exactly. And that is what RH has done so brilliantly, is you absolutely understand what you're going to get from RH. And that, I think, is the biggest challenge for all of us in thinking about branding ourselves, our business, how we're positioning ourselves, is how we convey what you're going to get from this experience. And that is what I think RH has done brilliantly. And if you want that, they've made it all available. The restaurant experience, to your point, Ryan, is fabulous. The whole look
But also,
and feel.
someone who's going to go to RH is not going to hire me. And there's enough business for everyone, and it's not a threat. Like, seriously, if you can't afford an interior designer and you want to just go buy the vignette or the room, fabulous, go do it. That's
Send them the
amazing.
friends clip first. Send them
Try the
but that
friends
was worse.
clip, and then if that doesn't work, yeah.
And then
No. But I really do think,
know
I
what
mean,
difference
in sort of wrapping all of this up, I mean, I do feel that so often designers struggle with what's the most important message about how they work to convey to clients. Because you want to talk about how efficient you are and how you're going to take care of them and how you're going to make this whole project hopefully go as easily and seamlessly as possible. And that you're also going to be efficient and you're mindful of their resources, as you were talking about earlier, Kate, and how all of us convey all of that and the look and the feel that you want them to know they're going to walk away with. That's the big challenge to try and convey to clients and for companies to try and convey to their would-be customers. Kara Cole can be schizophrenic, but also there's an underlying clear message we hope
Hopefully.
that resonates, right? But that's, I think, the biggest challenge. Would you agree? Yeah.
Absolutely. Everyone here is probably somewhat familiar with things like Instagram and maintaining an account and capturing and keeping followers. And how do you do that? You do that through determining what engages your clients and then doing it again and again. You become consistent. They come to you because they know what they'll get, and then you keep delivering it, and then you surprise them sometimes, but there's consistency there. And that's what brands need to do. I mean, that's just a little microcosmic moment of what brands need to do, is just to create something that entices, but is also almost totally predictable at the same time.
Exactly, because that's one of the other things, and look how I'm trying to bring this home now at the end, right? So one of the other things that Alessandro talked about, that almost dictatorial way of thinking about, is this consistent with my brand, whatever that message is that you are sending about your brand. And that is where so many companies make a mistake. They lose their focus and they go off in all of these different directions, and then you lose the clarity of that message.
And you lose the client,
Well,
customer.
yeah, because it really does require that discipline. And I don't think you can talk about branding without talking about that discipline. And often the people within the company who are in charge of maintaining the clarity of those brands are a little dictatorial, and understandably so. And you should be grateful that they are that way, because that is the key to effective branding.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
And you need to honestly do this if you're obsessed with it and you're passionate about it, because if you're consistent, like we're all saying, but you're consistently passionate and you're not thinking too much, because thinking is the antithesis to naturally co-creating. So if you're overthinking and trying so hard to brand and to be consistent, you're going to screw it up. But if you're just being like, I'm like a kid, I'm obsessed with interior design. I talk like this on my Instagram. I curse on my Instagram. It's my passion, and people pick up on it, and it's consistent. And you can look at my page and it looks like me, but I'm not doing anything, you guys. I'm really not overthinking it, or let me post this now, or let me put. I'll think about the photos.
You're very right, because the connection with the brand is emotional.
Yeah.
It's not
Emotion.
rational. You don't have to overthink. You need to see, I like it. And of course, I mean, think about beauty. Beauty, I mean, you consider a person beautiful because there is a symmetry in the face, you know.
My face.
So there is an element of consistency that has to be there.
Very handsome.
But
Very
it has to be emotional. It doesn't have to be rational. So what you're saying is exactly right. I mean, it's what they see. We need to communicate emotionally with them.
I always tell my clients, no. You're making me think it's gonna mess it up. No. It's always gonna be the first option.
Always.
I felt it. I trick them, and then they fall for it all the time. But it really works. I swear.
So I'm told that cocktails are waiting for us upstairs. So will you please join me in thanking our distinguished panel?
I already know what they're gonna
And
say.
again, thank you all for coming out. We so appreciate you coming. You probably got a lot more than you bargained for, and I hope you had fun. Thank you all.
How much do you want to
Thank
spend?
you.
But by who?
Good job.